Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Lakeburg Legacies. When we left off in the previous episode, things were getting a little bit wild because we had some flirty talk at the rodent nest. That's right, Helios, who thus far has not been causing any problems and I feel like has been quite on the down low, apparently caught the eye of one of our, I think, lumberjacks, Rowan. And I'm kind of surprised, things got heated, they ended up having their first kiss. I actually cannot remember who was attracted to who. I think Rowan was coming on to Helios. Anyways, immediately after they had their first kiss, Rowan died from hunger. And we kind of had the story that maybe Helios was able to kind of smuggle into the kingdom some fish or fruits, most probably fruits, that we don't normally find here. And because of their new tryst, he decided to share some with Rowan, but because Helios was keeping the smuggled fruit at the rodent nest, maybe the rodents got at it and, somehow poisoned the goods with their diseased selves. And then, Rowan ended up eating the apple and dying. That's kind of what we've decided to go with. So there was some surprising, changes that occurred. So my mind is still a little bit reeling from that. I feel bad for, I don't know, for Emelina? But she remarried very quickly. She's now married to Hubert. She herself is 39 years old and Hubert is 55. They have a very small, insignificant chance of having a child of their own. I would really love for Emelina to have a kid only because she is so pretty to me. She looks like a doll. She looks like a doll. She's so pretty. I would love for her genes to pass on, but I don't know, guys. I might not be that lucky. If I had to say, I think in my opinion, Emelina is probably the most beautiful woman that we have. But that's my opinion. Lakeburg doesn't feel that way. Lakeburg thinks that Beatrice is the most beautiful woman that we have. And her son is the most beautiful man that we have. Her son, Chris, right over here. So that's kind of where we're at, guys. But okay, let us get time going. Oh, before we do that, guys, obviously with Rowan's death, there is now an opening at the Lumberjacks Lodge, and I did scan through already some of the villagers we have who need some stuff attended to, and the only one that I can help out with is actually Meliora. She wants to be a lumberjack. She was one of our backup lumberjacks, so she is now going to enter the Lumberjacks Lodge. There we go. We have no ambience thus far, which is fascinating. It seems as though the women are all pretty, efficient. They don't cause any drama. They're not causing any drama. So good for them. They're having a much better time than I think the Hunter's Lodge and the Mason's Workshop. So Meliora has joined a long line, I feel, of lumberjacking women that we have in Lakeburg. I feel like very rarely have we had men work at the Lumberjacks Lodge. It's a woman's industry in our kingdom. And they don't seem to last too long because Rowan was here and Rowan is no longer here. So okay, let's now get going and see what we come across. Okay guys, we're gonna get moving. So apparently Slavomir and Pepin have met each other, and it seems as though things are getting along quite well with them, which makes me happy. I know Slavomir and Loop did not get along, and I think Slavomir is the problem guy at the Hunter's Cabin, so the fact that Pepin is able to make a good impression on him, I think is a very good thing. I've said this before, I feel like the younger generation are definitely helping to smooth over a lot of the rivalries and negative sentiments of their forefathers. It is great. Makes me happy. And look, the ambience is good. Okay, I feel like, look at that. Slavomir, he still hates Loop, but he loves working with Loop's son. That's amazing. Pepin, slowly but surely, is doing a great job trying to control and calm, I think, Slavomir and the rivalry that Loop and Slavomir have. I feel like that's a very wise thing for him to do, and a very calm thing. Because you'd think, with how close he is with his father, he would kind of be jumping to throw a fist in Slavomir's face because, you know, it's his father's enemy. But no, he's actually being quite reasonable towards everyone. And I feel like he has, in doing so, kind of pulled back a lot of Slavomir's anger. Because Slavomir used to be at 14%. Like, his production time was plus 14% because he just did not like working with Loop and such. But it's gone down. Now it's only 9 because of Pepin. Now he thinks about Pepin when he's working with Loop. He wants to go off at Loop, but he tries to control a little bit because he's like, it's Pepin's father. And, you know, Pepin and I get along with each other, which is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But okay, we are in the year 40. That is wild. Guys, we have been playing 40 years at this point. 40 years at this point in Lakeburg. And Olive and Oliver are divorcing? They only just recently got married. But okay, Olive had an experience last time. Like, she got sick of waiting around to be a mason, and then, you know, the Thieves Guild kind of opened up, and she decided to become a thief very briefly, and then we had a few deaths in town. The Thieves Guild kind of closed its doors. She more or less got kicked out, and then we had Theodora die, and then Olive took up her position at the Mason's workshop, and she got married to Oliver, who brought in, I think, a stepchild, but apparently now they're divorcing, and I think the child is gonna stay with Olive. Is that the case? I think, you know what is kind of funny at this point? I feel like they're just passing the child along at this rate, because Mabel is not Olive's child, like biological child. She is not even Oliver's biological child. I am suspicious of Oliver. Like, did Oliver do this just so he could, like, did he agree to this marriage because he felt guilty leaving Mabel out on the streets, but he didn't necessarily want to take responsibility for Mabel, so he just married Olive, passed Mabel on to her, and then he divorced and left. So now she's not his responsibility. I don't know. It's a bit wild. It is a bit wild, because if we look at him, Mabel, I think, is whose child? Mabel is Colette's child, and that was his ex-wife, but it's not even his biological child, you know? Mabel was his stepdaughter, and then he married Olive, basically threw Mabel at Olive, and then he divorced her, and now Olive is raising her stepchild, but it's not even her ex-husband's biological child. It's very confusing, but it's kind of entertaining. Okay, what's going on with our villagers? Okay, let's see. Mabel, can we help you, child, in any way? No, she has lofty aspirations. We cannot help her. Okay, I'm sorry, but we cannot help you. Let's see if we can... Oh, we can barter. We want to do that. Yes, please. Take our socks. Give us some gold. Yes, please. In terms of couples. Now, Olive... Do you have history with Emmerich in any way? Oh, she's married Emmerich before. That's her ex-husband. Okay, so she's not going to be interested in anyone. No one's going to be interested in each other right now. So she's going to be single, maybe just focused on raising Mabel. At least Olive is going to be a better step-parent than Oliver was. And it seems as though, oh no, Marie and Nathan have become rivals. You know, Marie, for someone who is as sweet and kind as you, I am starting to wonder if Raymonda really was the issue, because it takes two to tango, and I kind of feel like Marie is, I don't know, letting Nathan, I think they both have something that's grating on each other. We talked about this a while back, but I don't know, guys. I know Marie's indecisive and Nathan's like cowardly and something's going on between the two of them, but they have become rivals. This is not the ambience I was hoping for. Now we have a neutral ambience, but look, I'm right. Marie is the problem right now. Marie is literally the problem right now because she does not have good relations with Nathan and Emmerich. Whereas Eloise is the one person holding everyone's relationships together. Oh, Emery. Look, everyone loves working with her, and she loves working with everyone. But the rest of them, there's only so much, and a youngster can do. There's only so much, guys. Okay, well, let's keep going. Let's keep chugging along. Oh my goodness. After all this time, guys, Loop, at 68 years old, has finally passed. Loop has died from asphyxiation. While visiting the marketplace and tasting the butcher's latest sausage recipe a little too happily, Loop felt the flood going down, or the food going down the wrong hole, and no one could revive him. You know what? You lived a very full life, Loop. You lived a very, very full life. Okay, has he left anyone behind? Who was he married to? Because I cannot for the life of me remember. Who was he married to? Josephine? He might have been married to Josephine, actually. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we also had some children aging up, which I need to take a look at real quick. We had some children aging up. Okay, hold on, guys. Let's see. So, we have little Calanth and Wolfgang. Oh my goodness, they look so cute. This is Calanth. Oh, she's adorable. And I love that she's friends with Wolfgang. Well, she's not friends yet. They know each other. They approve of each other. They will most definitely become friends. They were born at around the same time, so I kind of love this. They could end up being like childhood sweethearts, So that's pretty cool. Can I help you? Bard, healer, seamstress. Okay, seamstress. You want to be an apprentice seamstress, which I think we should be able to do. Yes. Okay, I am going to apprentice you to Kala, actually. I am going to apprentice you to Kala, and just a reminder for myself. You are the child of Christoph and Manon. Christoph, who's causing, trouble in the Mason's workshop, and Manon. I don't think Manon's doing anything in the Lumberjack's Lodge. She's kind of chilling. All the women are chilling, more or less. But okay, she wants to be an apprentice seamster, which I kind of love. So that's really cute. Okay, so that's all nice and sorted. And then we have Wolfgang. What does Wolfgang want to do? So he is the son of Eldrick and Esmeralda. He looks so adorable. I love his hair. Merchant Priest God. Okay, he has lofty aspirations. I can't help you. He's just like Mabel. I can't help you right now. But that's kind of cute. I kind of love the idea that he's someone who probably is, he's proud. He's probably proud of his aspirations, but he's probably running around, maybe visiting Calanth at the sewing workshop and talking to her constantly, constantly bothering her and talking to her about his, dreams and how one day he's going to achieve what he wants to achieve. Maybe Calanth keeps telling him to be more realistic, but I kind of love that between the two of them. She's glutton, so I imagine he keeps bringing her food during her lunch breaks and all of that. I love it. I actually love it. Whatever's happening here, I approve. I wholeheartedly approve. And Calanth, your parents... Right, Mason's Workshop, Lumberjack, and then Wolfgang's parents. Well, his mother doesn't work, but his father's a hunter. Okay, that is actually pretty cool. That is very, very cool. Very good to know. And now we can go ahead and we can actually take a look at some of the couples now. So Josephine, do you have history with Emmerich and Oliver? No, because both her husbands have died. You know what? Josephine's actually a very faithful gal. I don't think she has divorced either of her husbands. She has faithfully kind of stayed within her marriages and they've just died. Okay, but she is going to ask Emmerich on a date. She's 40 years old, he's 41, so they're, very close in age. They might have some, something to relate to. So let's get Josephine and Emmerich together and see if maybe that works out. Okay, they would maybe have an average affinity if they weren't widowed and heartbroken if she wasn't. But let's see how this goes. Okay, we're starting off at the inn. We can say no cuddles before the third date or criticize Lakeburg's countryside. We're going to criticize the countryside. Living in this hellhole is such a bore. Emmerich also hates being woken every morning by the rooster, the hens, and the flies. Okay, and then we're going to the Hill by Moonlight. We could talk about painting, Josephine's new passion, or talk about the latest clothing trends. We're gonna go with the clothing trends. Emmerich does not care about such things. All you need is a shirt on your back and clogs on your feet. Okay, but they are discussing marriage, even if it is a loveless marriage, so who knows how long Emmerich is gonna stay here. But I think Emmerich would be very glad to not be on the streets anymore. And like I said, I feel like he and his very first wife, Emelina, the Lady of the Evening, I feel like, I mean, he left her, but because she was so beautiful, I feel like he and Emelina are constantly in a rivalry to see who has the better, like, spouse. And right now, Emelina is with Hubert. Emmerich is now with Josephine. Okay. And he is now the stepfather to Randall. Sweet. So there is that. Obviously, Olive and Oliver. Nothing's gonna happen on that front. I feel like Olive at this point has a very low opinion of Oliver, because he just dumped his stepchild onto her lap. And I think Olive will do her best to like raise Mabel well. I feel like Olive is going to be responsible that way because, you know, she's humble. Yes, she's rowdy, but I feel like talkative in a lot of ways. And I think she will try her best to make sure that Mabel has a good life. And in terms of her parents, like, she grew up in a very stable household, in a stable family, and I don't think she can understand how Oliver would be able to kind of leave and dump Mabel to someone else's lap that quickly. And I think a part of her is probably grateful that Mabel was dumped on her lap so she can actually look after Mabel. But yeah, okay, I've got those things going on. Okay, let's see what else everyone gets up to. Let's see what else happens in town. Okay, Brinia and Chris are inspired. I'm pretty sure in the last episode, these two were kind of disappointed because they didn't expect Kristoff to cause as many problems as he did. They thought the ambience was going to improve, and then Kristoff started going around, you know, not agreeing with Brinia, causing fights with Brinia, and they were disappointed. But I'm glad that after spending some more time together, they may be feeling inspired for their work and not really as concerned as they were. I mean, it's still, having bad relations is going to be a part of life. You kind of just move on with it and find, you know, the pieces of your day that you look forward to, which is excellent. We've had some age ups. Randall looks so cool. He's like 12 years old now. Have your aspirations changed? He's brave and obstinate, but look at him. He looks really, really cool. Mason! Okay, hold on. His lofty dreams finally have changed a bit. And does he have any Masons in his family? Like, I'm curious. Well, he doesn't like the Eloise the baker. His mother is a farmer. His father, actually, both his parents are farmers, that's right. But he is going to be apprenticed to Brinia, who has a lot of practice with this. And plus, Brinia, he's been doing this for a long time. He also trained up, you know, Chris, and now Chris is working at the Mason's workshop. Basically, he's got experience. So I am happy for Brinia to be the one training him. And I'm very glad that now at 12 years of age, he is kind of able to put his focus somewhere. So that is really good. We're getting kind of skill sets that we are going to need and skill sets that are going to be helpful in the future. Wonderful. Okay, let's continue with what's happening in town. Oh, wait, what? No way. Chris has died of hunger, guys. Oh no, and he was only 32 years old. Oh my goodness, we just lost a Mason. Chris just died. He was having like a great time being inspired with the he was having a great time being inspired with Brinia as well. Oh my goodness. Okay, where is his... he wasn't Cecilia's father. He was, I think, Althea's father. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he was Althea's father. That is wild. Because all the parents, like in the generation above him, both his parents and his wife's parents, they're all alive. Chris was the one to die. Oh no, leaving behind a 2-year-old daughter. That is not too good. Eloise, I'm so sorry that you have to move on so quickly, but do you have any history with Oliver? No, you don't, because Chris was your first husband and your first kind of romantic, experience. But she is going to ask Oliver out on a date, just as security for, her child. And although I don't think Oliver is someone you should trust, because Oliver's already had this stint with Colette. He's already done this with Colette and Mabel, so if anything happened to you, Eloise, I don't think you'd want to trust Oliver anyways. He's just gonna dump your child onto his next wife's lap. But, let's get her to ask him on a date and see how it goes. She's 28, he's 31. They don't have like much difference in their age. Let's see how this goes. Okay. I feel like, yeah, they have awful affinity. It would probably be bad anyways because they already seem to have a disagreement with meditation. But let's see how it goes. Okay, they're on a date. They're starting off at the inn. We could criticize Lakeburg's countryside or propose the idea of picking flowers. We're gonna go to the fields and pick flowers. What a silly idea. Why not leave those flowers in peace? And then we're gonna go to the hill by moonlight. We can worry that books are corrupting the young or talk about good food. We'll talk about good food. Let good digestion wait on appetites. Eloise and Oliver share the same taste in terms of good food. And they are discussing marriage immediately. So Oliver is not staying out on the streets. He is getting married to Eloise straight away, and now he is a stepfather to Eloise's little daughter, Althea. But at this point, I don't trust Oliver anymore. I don't trust Oliver anymore. Wait, what? We got an achievement that says enemies or more. Do they hate each other? Are they enemies? They're in a loveless marriage, but what is this situation? What is this? Hold on, where are they? Eloise is married to Oliver. They're in a loveless marriage, but I think, oh my god, guys, I think we got that achievement because Eloise already disliked or hated Oliver? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't remember them interacting and having a, like, enemyship or disagreement. But that's kind of funny. So she married. Essentially, they both mutually disliked each other or hated each other. But they married each other for convenience. That is drama. That is absolute drama. Okay, I kind of wonder if Eloise was kind of heartbroken over Chris's death and she wasn't thinking straight, and Oliver, he kind of like hates her, but he didn't want to be on the streets, and then he made his move. Oh, well, wasn't she the one to make a move on him? I don't remember. I think she was the one to make a move on him, and she was going through an emotional something, but she kind of just saw him, so she jumped him, and then he let things kind of go further than they were supposed to go, and they woke up in the morning and realized that they were married. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense for maybe what happened between the two of them. It was like the 3 dates or the 2 dates, whatever was happening, something that Eloise instigated because she was emotionally not there, and then it ended up like tumbling, and they went through the day, they went through the night, and by the time they realized what exactly had happened, it was kind of too late. Althea was crying, and they both thought, you know what, it's a situation, but we'll make do with it. We'll figure it out. Very, very fascinating. But okay, guys, with that said and done, I am gonna leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.